Now, moving along into Don't Be That Guy, I wanted to bring this up because it's very much the issue right now. I would say, and this is sort of the biggest thing of to Don't Be That Guy. Don't be that guy who's so easily won over by the Trump bro whispering that's been picking off, a disproportionate number of young men. And this is a big reason why we started doing this podcast was because we realized that there's really no answer to the toxic male influencers on the right. John Della Volpe, who is the director of polling at the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics. He runs a research firm that conducted polls for a PAC supporting the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris campaigns. So, recent data from the Harvard Youth Poll, a national survey I oversee for the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics, reveals an increasing political rift between young men and women under 30, two groups critical to Democrat success in recent elections. Almost exactly equal shares of young men and young women say they will definitely vote in this election or have already done so. But since the spring of 2020, the share of young men identifying as registered Democrats has dropped by 7 percentage points, while those identifying as Republicans have increased by 7 points, a net shift of 14 points in just 4 years. Young women during the same period shifted 2 points away from the Republicans. Today's young men are lonelier than ever and have inherited a world rife with skepticism toward the institutions designed to promote and defend American ideals. Men under 30 are nearly twice as likely to be single as women their same age. Gen Z men are less likely to enroll in college or the workforce than previous generations. They have higher rates of suicide and are less likely than their female peers to receive treatment for mental health maladies. Most young men in my polling say they fear for our country's future, and nearly half doubt their cohort's ability to meet our nation's coming challenges. Mr. Trump has tapped these anxieties by weaving a hyper-masculine message of strength and defiance into his broader narrative that undermines confidence in democratic institutions. And it's working. Aware that boasting about killing Roe v. Wade drove away young women, Mr. Trump zeroed in on capturing a larger share of the young male vote. In 4 years, he cut what was once a 19 percentage point Democratic margin among registered young male voters, roughly in half. His playbook, a master class in bro whispering, championing crypto, securing the endorsement of Dave Portnoy, the unapologetically offensive founder of Barstool Sports, and giving UFC president Dana White, who embodies the alpha male archetype that appeals to many young men, a prime spot at the Republican National Convention. Mr. Trump has also cultivated relationships with simpatico comedians, pranksters, influencers, and Silicon Valley billionaires like Elon Musk, all while his team bombards podcasts and social media with misinformation and memes to rally his troops. This shift in support for Mr. Trump among men is neither organic nor unexpected. It's what happens when a well coordinated political operation invests tens of millions of dollars to amplify Mr. Trump's narrative and weaken confidence in the party in power. Compared with when Mr. Trump ran in 2020, young male voters are now less likely to support government backed climate change solutions, down 15 points, and affirmative action for qualified candidates, down 8 points. They're more likely to question immigration policy, up 12 points, free trade, up 10 points, and whether government stimulus leads to economic growth, up 7 points. They are also more likely to believe that religious values should play a more important role in government, up 6 points. Jumping ahead, to win more votes from young men, Ms. Harris must address their fears head on and present a bold vision that speaks to their desire for purpose and strength. Of course, a clear economic vision that charts a pathway to financial independence is paramount, but it may not be enough to counter Mr. Trump's appeal on this issue in the closing days. Miss Harris needs to go big. Here's one way. To reignite the hope of the emerging generation, Ms. Harris should make a sweeping national call to both military and civilian service, namely the Generation Z Compact to rebuild and renew America. Such a plan would offer a sense of identity, community, and patriotism while providing economic stability and skill building, things many young men feel they are missing. And he goes on to point to the FDR's New Deal Civilian Conservation Corps in 1933, JFK's Peace Corps in 61, President Bill Clinton's AmeriCorps in 93. And he talks about how framing national service as a pathway to rebuilding America's strength from within and addressing growing concerns can bridge political divides with a renewed sense of shared responsibility. So, countering that narrative by listening and recognizing young men's fears can offer something more profound, a vision of hope, strength, and shared purpose. And so, this is very much this makes sense, and this totally scans with my cursory perception of seeing how the devolved male um, exchanges online, it seems like as men are getting older, they're still stuck in like this adolescent frame of mind. And that's what's been so disconcerting. And that's why it's not necessarily surprising to see so many guys who act dumb and think it's funny to act dumb support Trump. And they really are old enough to already be, paying a mortgage and having kids. And so this is a really worrisome trend. And so um, Keith Edwards, who's a political strategist, who was on Threads earlier today talking about this issue, I think in response to this column. And he might not have worded his concerns as eloquently as John Della Volpe, the director of polling at the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics. And he was met with a lot of scorn and online backlash for even broaching this. He was accused of centering white male concerns at a time when we're trying to bring in so many more people and raise awareness to it. And I think what was lost in what he was trying to convey is that this is a problem of young men. This is like an 18 to 30 demographic that we're talking about here that's broken significantly for Trump. Like that age group now will go for Trump, and this isn't something that when we were growing up, it was always younger people were more liberal, more open-minded. They rejected the intolerance and the busybodies of Republicans who wanted to try to restrain their sexual freedoms. And so this is a really big concern, and it's not going to go away until we find ways to confront it. And I think part of what the online pile-on was unaware of is that this is really something that men should be confronting. This isn't something that like, oh, women, you have to coddle these young men now, and you have to like hear their feelings about why they feel picked on because they don't see themselves enough on TV. I don't think that women have to have any say in this. I don't think they have to worry about picking up the slack on this. This is absolutely something that men have to find a way to set the example for and help elevate our cultural standards to be something that younger men can aspire to.
Absolutely. I think that, we've got to get to a place where we take care of our own people to some degree in terms of like it's unfair to put so much pressure on, black women to save our country every 4 years, and
Yep.
it's certainly all of the people that, have that are sort of counted on to vote Democrat, like it's not up to those people to not only vote for the right candidate and get them elected, but then also educate us and figure out a way to help us be better ourselves. Sometimes we need to like look introspectively and say, no, I mean, that's precisely why you and I started this podcast, is to
Yep.
hopefully reach out to people that are like us
Yep.
in terms of just the surface and say, this is an alternative to that. It doesn't have to be, you know, I I think that sometimes again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier, where it's like, that's not for me. Sometimes you need to say like, okay, this is for you though.